Hi friends, in the last video we covered about what is JDBC. Next, what are various features of JDBC? Next, what are versions, various versions of JDBC, right? Sir, what is the most recent version as of today? JDBC 4.2 version we covered already, right? Sir, now in this video, just I want to spell out how this JDBC came in the picture. What is the evolution of JDBC, right? So before JDBC, yes, how the languages can communicate with the database, that part I have to discuss. Sir, in the olden days, 1970s, 80s, 90s, like early days of 90s, how the programming languages communicated with the database, right? Sir, before Chris, olden days, how the programming languages communicated with the database. Just observe that, sir. I have C program I wrote, sir. C application. Sir, this is my C application, right? I want to communicate with the Oracle database. Assume that. I want to communicate with Oracle database, right? If you want to communicate C application with the Oracle database, these Oracle specific libraries we require to use in our application directly, sir. Sir, in the C we require to use Oracle specific libraries compulsory. Observe that very carefully, sir. So, if an application in the olden days, if C application wants to communicate with the Oracle database, compulsory in our application, while developing this application, we require to use Oracle specific libraries in our application directly. If I open C program or C++, Oracle specific libraries we should use, right? Okay, now happily it can communicate with the Oracle database. Now the required results I can able to get, right? But the problem in this approach is, tomorrow Oracle is not good. I want to go for MySQL database. If I want to go for MySQL database, can I reuse the same application? No, because this application developed with Oracle specific libraries, it can communicate only with Oracle database only. Remember this one, sir. Sir, then how I can communicate with the MySQL database, right? If you want to communicate with MySQL database, compulsory we require to develop a new application with the MySQL libraries, right? So then what I will do is, sir, another application compulsory I should develop, sir. C application with the MySQL libraries, right? With the MySQL specific libraries. With the MySQL specific libraries, compulsory I have to. Okay, compulsory I should rewrite once again new application, right? This is the MySQL database, right? Now, have you observed, right? If you want to communicate with Oracle database in your program, you have to use Oracle specific libraries. If you want to communicate with MySQL, then compulsory we have to develop new program with the MySQL specific libraries, right? So tomorrow I want to communicate with a Sybase database. Yeah, I have to develop another application with the Sybase specific libraries, right? Is it a problem or not? Yes, because for every database, maintaining separate application unnecessary creates maintenance problems, right? Are you able to understand? Sir, the application will become database dependent. Remember this one, sir. Application will become database dependent. Sir, this program will work only for Oracle database. This program will work only for MySQL database. If I want to work with the Sybase database, compulsory I should go for what? New database, right? Everyone can able to understand? So, in the olden days, almost around 1980s, 1990s, early days, how the programming languages communicated with the database? Compulsory for every database we have to maintain a separate, do you know, right? A separate, what we call separate application, right? This is something like CDMA phone, sir. Have you remembered in the olden days we have CDMA phone? Sir, if you want to change the number, not possible. You have to go for another phone only. Okay? Phone reserved only for one number, only for one service provider. If you want to change a service provider or number, sir, the same phone we can't use. Compulsory we should go for new phone. Are you getting right? It's not GSM. It is something like a CDMA technology, right? Sir, this application can work only with Oracle database. If you want to go for another database, compulsory we have to develop new application. So application will become database dependent, which creates maintenance problems, right? Suppose I want to use 10 databases, then I require to maintain 10 separate applications, right? Which is a very difficult, which is a very complex maintenance problems are going to come in the picture. Up to this is the very clear, right? So to overcome this problem, we should go for next level ODBC concept, which is introduced by Microsoft people, right? Okay, sir, what is the next level concept, sir? ODBC concept introduced by Microsoft people. What is that concept? ODBC. Okay, Microsoft people introduced in 1992. Remember that, sir. Anyway, just before going about this ODBC concept, just up to that whatever I covered, just let me review for 1 minute, sir. Have a look once. Okay, evaluation of JDBC concept. Okay, sir, if we want to communicate with the database from C or C++ application, compulsory we have to use database specific libraries in our application directly. Are you getting? C or C++ application, yes sir, with it uses Oracle specific libraries communicated with the Oracle database. So it's very clear, sir. If you want to communicate with Oracle database while developing C or C++ application, compulsory we require to use Oracle specific libraries. In the above diagram, C or C++ application uses Oracle libraries directly, sir. So the problem in this approach is, if we want to migrate to another database, we have to rewrite total application again with the new database specific libraries, right? Simple example, C or C++ application use MySQL libraries to communicate with MySQL database. Sir, here how many databases are available? 2 databases, Oracle database, MySQL database. How many applications we require to maintain, sir? 2 applications. One application for Oracle database, another application for MySQL database, right? So the application will become database dependent and creates maintenance problems. Is it clear for all of it? So in the olden days, how the programming languages communicated with the database, this is the scenario, right? This is something like CDMA. For every database we require to maintain a separate application, which is very difficult to the developer, at the same time creates maintenance problems, right? So to overcome this problem, in 1992 ODBC concept introduced by Microsoft people, right? So now I have one small doubt, sir. What is ODBC? What is ODBC? ODBC, sir, can you spell out what is the ODBC? If I can ask this question in my regular classroom, do you know everyone aware JDBC, Java database connectivity, right? If I can ask ODBC, what is ODBC? Out of 100, 99% of the people are going to tell, sir, Oracle database connectivity, right? O means what? Oracle. No, sir. No. O means open database connectivity. Remember this one. Are you getting right? So open database connectivity. This ODBC technology introduced by Microsoft people. Sir, who introduced ODBC technology? Microsoft people in 1992, sir. Before 1992, how the programming languages communicated with databases is, this is the approach whatever we cover. But what is with the ODBC concept, what is the advantage we are going to get? That part I will discuss. Up to this is the clear, right? So with the ODBC, how applications can communicate with the database, right? So beautiful technology introduced by Microsoft people. Just observe this. Sir, I am writing a C or C++ application. Assume that, sir, I am writing C or C++ application. Now, I have 3 different databases are there, sir. Assume that This is, okay, Oracle database. Which one, sir? Oracle database. And this one is MySQL database. Okay. Second one, MySQL database. And the third one, sir, Sybase database. Are you getting Sybase database? Sir, how many databases are available, sir? 3 databases are there. What is the first one? Oracle database. Second one, sir, MySQL database. Third one, Sybase database, right? So, sir, but I have only one application in there, CRC++. Sir, I don't want to use any database specific libraries in my CRC++ application. You can use same application. I want to communicate with Oracle database, MySQL database, Sybase database. I want to make this application database independent. That facility came because of our ODBC concept. Are you getting right? Sir, with ODBC, the biggest advantage, sir, open database connectivity. Sir, ODBC, by using ODBC, you can able to connect for any database, right? It is the open for any database communication. Such type of beautiful technology is nothing but what? ODBC, right? Sir, how you can? Sir, I want to communicate with Oracle database. Simple, sir. Choose ODBC driver for Oracle. Regarding ODBC driver for Oracle, just we require to choose, right? CRC++ application communicate with this ODBC driver for Oracle. ODBC driver can communicate with Oracle database, and the results it is going to provide it to CRC++ application, right? So database communication, everything is going to take care by ODBC driver related to this Oracle. Same way, I want to communicate with the MySQL database. Are you getting what I have to choose here? ODBC driver for MySQL database. Are you getting ODBC driver for MySQL database? Just we require to choose corresponding ODBC driver, then the remaining database specific communication is going to take care by this driver only. Okay, so tomorrow I want to communicate with the Sybase database. What we have to do, sir? Choose ODBC driver for Sybase. Are you getting right? ODBC driver for Sybase. ODBC driver for Sybase. Sir, CRC++ application communicate with ODBC driver. ODBC driver can communicate with the Sybase database, then it will provide the results. Are you getting? Sir, that is the biggest advantage of ODBC, right? Observe that, sir. Sir, here how many applications are there? Only one application. But how many databases are there? 3 databases. Sir, same application can communicate with the Oracle, MySQL or Sybase database. Just you require to choose corresponding ODBC driver. For almost all databases, already Microsoft people provided ODBC drivers. Don't worry about that. Sir, now can you please tell application will become database dependent or database independent, sir? Database independent, right? So that is the biggest advantage, right? ODBC technology is something like GSM, sir. Are you getting? Something like GSM. GSM phones are there. We can use the same phone for Geo network or for Airtel network, for Idea network. For every network, for every number, we are not required to change our phone. Only one phone we can use for incoming, one SIM for outgoing, another SIM for internet, another SIM, like we can able to use same facility we had because of what? ODBC concept. So in the 1992 Microsoft people introduced ODBC technology. It changed the complete cinema database communication from our applications, right? Clear for all of you, right? So first points are ODBC. What is the meaning of ODBC? Open database connectivity. It is the database independent API. By using this ODBC concept, our applications can communicate with any database, no problem at all, sir. Clear? Okay, that's all. Up to this, whatever I covered. Okay, just let me review once again, sir. Sir, have you observed the diagrams? If you see, without database, sir, how many applications are there? I have without ODBC concept. Sir, I don't want to use ODBC concept, sir. Without ODBC, in the olden days, how the scenario? For Oracle database, one application. For MySQL database, another application. For Sybase database, another application. Sir, separate application for every database. 3 application for 3 databases, which is the maintenance wise worst. Because 100 databases are there, 100 applications are required to maintain. It's a very difficult, and maintenance also is going to be down like anything. So to overcome that, we should go for one ODBC concept. Sir, ODBC concept introduced by Microsoft people, right? With ODBC, how the scenario, right? Just observe that. With ODBC, an application can communicate with any database just by selecting corresponding ODBC driver. So, CRC++ application. Have you observed CRC++ application? Sir, want to communicate with Oracle database. Just we have to choose ODBC driver for Oracle. So, our application communicate with the ODBC driver. ODBC driver can communicate with the database. My application never communicates directly with the database. If any database specific terminology is required, my ODBC driver is going to take care, sir. Okay? Sir, now same CRC++ application communicates with the ODBC driver for MySQL. This ODBC driver for MySQL can communicate with MySQL database. Sir, same way Sybase also, right? Now, can you please tell how many applications are there? Only one application. But how many databases are there? 3 databases are there. We have to choose a corresponding ODBC driver. Everyone can able to understand, right? So, how many applications are there? Only one. But how many databases are there? 3 databases. Now, application is the database dependent or database independent? Database independent. It never communicate directly with the database. If any database communication is required, that communication is going to take care by ODBC driver. Clear, right? Sir, one application but 3 databases, because application will become one database independent. Remember this. So, we are not required to use any database specific libraries in our application, and the application will become database independent. Clear for all of you, right? Okay? That's all. So, make sure these are the things what you people should aware clearly, right? Are you getting? So, ODBC is a big change in the database communication from our applications, right? Then immediately you may have the doubt, sir, such a type of beautiful technology, why you are not using for Java application? If I use this ODBC technology for Java application, is there any problems are there? That part I will discuss. Clear, right? Now I will explain. If I use ODBC concept for Java applications, what problems we are going to get? So, such beautiful ODBC concept is there, for Java not recommended to use. What problems are there if I use ODBC concept for Java applications, right? Just observe that I have Java application is there, sir. Legend this one. Observe a bit carefully, sir. This is Java application I wrote. Now I want to communicate with the Oracle database. Regarding I want to communicate with which database, right? Oracle database. If a Java application wants to communicate with Oracle database, very simple. Choose ODBC driver for Oracle. ODBC driver for Oracle. For Oracle, I can choose. Then Java application can communicate with ODBC driver. ODBC driver can communicate with the Oracle database, and it's going to provide the required results. Same way, okay, I want to use Java application for MySQL database. ODBC driver for MySQL. ODBC driver for MySQL. Assume it is MySQL database. Are you getting? Just I covered already all these things, right? Okay. Now take a bit very special care, sir. Like multiple databases, multiple ODBC drivers are there. The problem in this approach is, there's a big problem is there if I use ODBC concept for Java application, right? What is the problem, sir? Problem number 1. Do you know the biggest advantage of Java? The biggest advantage of Java technology is platform independent technology. My Java application can work on Windows, Linux, Sun Solaris, on any platform it is going to run. So Java's biggest asset, platform independent language, correct, right? But the problem with the ODBC is ODBC concept will work only for Windows machines. Remember this one, sir. ODBC concept introduced by which person? Microsoft people. Microsoft people use a bit intelligence, sir, while developing this ODBC. Observe, ODBC concept applicable for any language, for any database. Sir, you can use ODBC for C language, C++, VC++ or VB or otherwise Java. For any language you can use ODBC, but ODBC concept you can use for any language, for any database, but only for Windows machines. Windows platform is the Microsoft product, right? Okay, they have to promote their own product, right? Okay, so that's why the biggest problem with the ODBC is ODBC concept applicable or can work only on Windows machines. Are you getting right? Okay, so some people tried for Linux, but they didn't succeed. So as of now, ODBC is applicable only for Windows machines. If I use ODBC driver for my Java application, now my Java application also will become one platform dependent technology. Are you getting that? So we are going to miss a platform independent nature of Java. So first problem, okay, sir, ODBC concept will work only for Windows machine, but Java is the platform independent. If I use ODBC concept for my Java application, now application will become platform dependent, which is against Java's rule. Are you getting? So first problem is very clear, sir. Java application will become platform dependent. Java application can work only for Windows platform, which is against Java's rule. Point number 1. Second problem here, it is also major considerable problem only, right? What is the second problem is, take very special care, sir. These ODBC drivers are developed in C language most of the time, sir. ODBC drivers are developed in which language, right? C language. If I use ODBC driver concept for Java application, the problem is Java calls converted into C language calls. Are you getting? Java calls should be converted into C language calls. That C language calls can communicate with the database. Once again, C language calls we require to, of course, internally converted into Java calls. So Java to C language to Java language, internal conversions are required or not? Yes. Automatically, because of these conversion, performance is going to be down like anything. Are you getting right? There may be a chance of performance problems are going to come. Clear for all of it, okay? So, if I use ODBC concept for Java application, what problems are there? Problem number 1, ODBC concept applicable only for Windows. If I use ODBC for Java application, now my Java application also will become Windows specific only, which is against to Java's rule. Problem number 1. Second problem, most of the times ODBC drivers are developed in C language. If I use ODBC for Java, then automatically Java to C, C to Java internal conversions are required, which may create performance problems, right? Clear for all of it? So because of these reasons, ODBC concept not at all suitable for Java applications, right? Clear for all of it? Okay, so why such type of beautiful ODBC concept, why it's not recommended to use for Java? We are going to miss platform independent nature. There may be a chance of performance problems, right? So to overcome these problems, next level, some people introduced JDBC concept. What is the concept, sir? JDBC concept in 1997. Remember this one. Sir, ODBC concept came in which year? 1992. JDBC concept came in which year? 1997. Okay, from 1997 for Java applications, happily we can use which concepts are JDBC concept. Clear for all of it? So let me review up to that whatever I covered, sir. Just have a look once. What are various limitations of ODBC? If I use ODBC for Java application, what problems are there, sir? Java application, ODBC driver for Oracle database, ODBC driver for MySQL database, ODBC driver for Sybase database, right? Assume. Sir, first problem, ODBC concept will work only for Windows platform. So it is the platform dependent technology. If I use for ODBC for my Java application also will become platform dependent, which is not at all recommended. We won't accept. Problem number 1. Second problem, ODBC drivers are implemented in which language, right? C language. If we use for Java application, performance will be down because of internal conversions. Are you getting that? From Java to C and C to Java. Java calls are required to convert into C calls. C calls are required to convert into Java calls. Automatically performance is going to be down. Clear, right? Because of these reasons, ODBC concept never recommended to use for Java applications, right? For Java applications, Java vendor, Sun Microsystems introduced beautiful technologies are JDBC concept in 1997. How we can use JDBC for our Java applications? What advantages are there over ODBC? That part I will discuss. Up to this is the clear, right? So now I will explain how we can use JDBC concept for Java applications. Instead of ODBC, if I use JDBC, what are the advantages, right? Just observe that. I have Java application is there, sir. Just now I explained the same diagram. Let me rewrite once again. I have Java application is there. I want to communicate with the Oracle database. Observe this one. I have Oracle database is there. Next, I have MySQL database is there. Okay, my SQL database is there, and even I have Sybase database is there. How many databases are there, sir? 3 databases. How many applications are there? Only 1 application. If a Java application wants to communicate with Oracle database, earlier I chose the ODBC driver, but now instead of ODBC driver, now we have to choose what? JDBC driver. Are you getting? Now I have to use JDBC driver for Oracle. Just the same diagram only. But instead of ODBC, now we require to use which driver, sir? JDBC driver. Okay? JDBC driver for MySQL. JDBC driver for MySQL. JDBC driver for Sybase, right? Just take a bit very special care, sir. Java application can communicate with the JDBC driver. JDBC driver can communicate with Oracle database and it will provide the required results. Same rule applicable even for MySQL, JDBC driver for MySQL, which is the responsible to communicate with MySQL database. Clear, right? Same, sir, JDBC driver for Sybase, which is the responsible to communicate with Sybase database. Sir, same diagram, same terminology. Only difference is don't use ODBC driver, better to use which one, sir? JDBC driver. So then immediately you may ask, sir, if I use JDBC driver for Java application, what is the advantage I am going to get, sir, when compared with ODBC? Sir, if I use ODBC for Java, what is the first problem? Sir, ODBC concept is applicable only for Windows machines, only for Windows machine. Now my Java application will become Windows specific. Sir, now JDBC driver, mostly JDBC drivers are developed in Java, sir. It's a developed in Java. JDBC driver can work on any platform. You can use same driver for Oracle database, for Windows machines, for Sybase, for Sun Solaris, for Linux, like for any platform, you are allowed to use the same JDBC driver. That's why if I use a JDBC concept for Java application, my Java application won't become platform dependent, platform independent only. Clear for all of you, right? So ODBC is the platform dependent technology applicable only for Windows machine, but JDBC is not platform dependent, it is platform independent technology. So Java's property, platform independentness, still we can able to maintain if I use JDBC. So advantage number 1, sir. So it will become platform independent only. We are not required to worry about the platform independent nature may gone, no such type of problem, right? Second advantage, right? It's also very important criteria, sir. If I use ODBC for Java application, what problem we face it, sir? Have you remembered, right? So Java calls should require to convert into C calls. C calls should require to convert into Java calls, because ODBC drivers are implemented in C language. Same, but JDBC drivers are implemented in Java language only. Most of the time, JDBC drivers are developed in which language, right? Java language. Sir, it is already Java application. It's already developed in Java. Then Java to Java, no conversions are required. Internal conversions are not required. That's why performance, here there is no effect at all. Remember this one, sir. But instead of JDBC, if I use ODBC, then ODBC driver is implemented in C language. Java to C, C to Java conversions are required. But now JDBC concept is developed in Java only. That's why Java to Java, no internal conversions are required. Automatically there is no effect on performance, right? Are you able to understand? Because of these reasons, JDBC concept highly recommended to use for Java applications, right? Sir, never recommended to use ODBC concept for Java applications. I hope everyone got clear idea, right? So before ODBC, how the applications can communicate with the database. Next, from once ODBC concept came, then how we are getting database independent nature. With the JDBC concept, we are getting database independent nature, platform independent nature also. Is it clear for all of you, right? Okay, that's what you people should aware. Just let me review once again. Have you observed JDBC introduced by Sun Microsystems in 1997? Java application, JDBC driver for Oracle, sir, which is the responsible to communicate with the Oracle database. If the Java application wants to communicate with MySQL database, JDBC driver for MySQL. If the Java application wants to communicate with Sybase, now Java application required to communicate with the JDBC driver for Sybase and so on. So we have to choose corresponding JDBC driver instead of ODBC driver, sir. Sir, how many applications are there? Only one. But how many databases are there? 3. Is it a database independent technology or not? Yes. Next, JDBC concept is implemented in which language? Java, which is platform independent. That's why. So JDBC concept, biggest advantage is platform independent technology, database independent technology, right? Clear for all of you? Okay. Now JDBC concept applicable for any platform. That's why it is the platform independent technology. Next, mostly JDBC drivers are implemented in Java, developed in Java. That's why. So no internal conversions are required if I use for Java application. So that performance wise there is no effect at all. Clear, right? So this is about how to use JDBC concept for Java applications. If I use JDBC instead of ODBC for Java application, what advantage by default we are going to get? Clear for all of you, right? Okay, that's all. Now I hope it's very clear, sir, how you can use JDBC concept for Java applications, right? Sir, now it's a very important question for the interview room. What are the differences between JDBC and ODBC, or ODBC and JDBC? Very important question for the interview room. Just I will discuss, right? Sir, ODBC is a technology from Microsoft. JDBC is a technology from Sun Microsystems. Regarding, just observe that. Sir, it is Microsoft technology. It is Sun Microsystems technology, right? If you observe their business strategies, just have a look once. ODBC concept we can apply for any language. No restrictions, right? You can apply for C language, C++, Java or VB, like for any language you can apply ODBC concept. We can apply ODBC concept for any database. Are you getting? We can apply ODBC for any database. Microsoft people only provided ODBC driver for Oracle, ODBC driver for Excel, ODBC driver for Sybase. Like Microsoft people only provided ODBC drivers for almost all databases. Are you getting? For any language you can use, for any database you can use, but only for Windows machines. Only for Windows machines. Observe that, okay? Sir, because it is the technology from Microsoft, right? They have to promote their operating system. That's why it is applicable only for one Windows machines. Let me talk once again, sir. ODBC we can use for any language, for any database, but applicable only for Windows machines, right? Some people tried for Linux. They failed to develop ODBC drivers for Linux operating systems, right? So make sure, sir, ODBC applicable for any language, for any database, for only for Windows machine. So their business strategy to promote their operating system, right? Same way, JDBC concept, sir. If I consider JDBC, sir, JDBC concept applicable for any database. Are you getting? You can use for any database. You can use for Oracle, MySQL, Sybase, DB2, like any database. JDBC concept you can apply for any platform. For any platform, sir. You can use for Windows, you can use for Linux, you can use for Unix, you can use for, so some solaris, like for any platform you can use, but only for Java language. Are you getting? Only for Java language. Observe, because they require to promote their language, right? Okay? So take a bit very special care internally their business strategies, right? ODBC concept applicable for any language, for any database, but only for Windows machines. Next, JDBC concept is applicable for any database, for any platform, but only for Java language. Are you able to understand it? Okay? But anyway, what are various differences between ODBC and JDBC? Just let me list out, sir. But anyway, just take a bit very special care. For Java application, ODBC concept is not recommended. Performance problems and the platform dependent nature by default will be there. Because of these reasons, we never recommended to go for one ODBC concept for Java applications. Highly recommended we should go for one JDBC concept for Java applications, right? Sir, what is ODBC? What is ODBC? Open database connectivity. What is the JDBC? Java database connectivity, right? ODBC concept introduced by Microsoft in 1992. JDBC concept introduced by Sun Microsystems in 1997. Of course, sir, do you know the internal JDBC for JDBC introduction? Internally, ODBC is the reason because almost all the same terminology, okay, is adapted to JDBC from ODBC, right? Clear for all of it, okay? Just let me summarize all the differences, right? Just have a look once. Differences between ODBC and JDBC, right? ODBC, JDBC. ODBC stands for Open Database Connectivity. JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity, right? Next, introduced by Microsoft and some other associates in 1992, but introduced by Sun Microsystems in 1997. Clear, right? Next, we can use ODBC for any language like C or C++ or Java, etc. But we can use JDBC only for Java language. Remember that it's applicable only for one Java language. We can use ODBC only for Windows machines, only for Windows platform, but we can use JDBC for any platform, no problem at all, sir. Next, mostly ODBC drivers are developed in native languages like C or C++, but most of the times JDBC drivers are developed in Java, right? Okay. Next, for Java application, it is not recommended to use ODBC because of performance down, internal internal conversions, and the application will become platform dependent. Application will run only for Windows machines, right? Because of these two reasons. One is performance problem, second one is application will become platform dependent, sir. Because of this, ODBC concept not recommended to use for Java application. For Java applications, it's highly recommended to use JDBC because there are no performance problems and the platform dependent problems. Clear for all of you, right? So most valuable question for the interview room. What is the difference between JDBC and ODBC? You should be in a position to tell all these differences, right? Okay, that's all, sir. Hi friends, so in the last videos we covered, okay, why JDBC concept came, okay, what is the need of JDBC concept, okay, to communicate with the database, right? Sir, already, so in the olden days, how CRC++ applications communicated with the database we covered. Next in 1992, ODBC concept came. What is the advantage of ODBC concept and why ODBC concept is not suitable for Java applications. Next, JDBC concept introduced, right? Next, and after that, what are the comparisons between ODBC and JDBC? Up to that, it's very clear, right? Okay. So now the next important concept I require to talk. What is the architecture of JDBC? In the interview room, maybe a chance to ask. Can you please explain what is the JDBC architecture? Maybe a chance, right? Sir, very simple, sir. Listen, what is the architecture of JDBC? Sir, I have Java application is there, sir. Take a bit very special care, sir. Java application is there. Sir, here I have one database is there. Assume it is the Oracle database. I have one database is there. It's a Oracle database, right? Assume. Sir, Java application, if you want to communicate with Oracle database, compulsory Java calls we have to convert into database specific calls. Database specific calls we have to convert into Java calls. Have you remembered in the last video somewhere I covered Java to database specific calls, database specific calls to Java calls. If you want to convert, one special software must be required. That special software is driver software. Are you getting? So this is driver software. Are you getting right? Driver software. So can you spell out what is the role of driver software? Okay, sir, Java calls will be converted into database specific calls. Database specific calls will be converted into Java calls. Sir, who is going to do that conversion is a driver software. Driver software acts as a translator. Clear for all of it. So, if a Java application wants to communicate with the database, compulsory required concept is driver software. Is it clear for all of it? Sir, similarly, sir, this is the driver software for Oracle. Driver software for Oracle. Sir, tomorrow I want to communicate with MySQL database. Regarding, I want to communicate with MySQL database, right? Then automatically, compulsory we require to maintain driver software for MySQL. Regarding, this is the driver software for MySQL, right? Sir, Java application can communicate with the driver software. Okay, this driver software, sir, can communicate with the MySQL database, like, okay. So to convert Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls, some translator is required, which is nothing but driver software, right? Sir, similarly, tomorrow I want to communicate with the Sybase. Regarding Sybase database, right? Compulsory here driver software for Sybase must be required. Regarding driver software for Sybase must be required, right? Now think a bit very carefully, sir. Just a basic idea purpose, and then I will explain once again with the need diagram. Don't worry, just get the basic idea. Java application is there. Next and after that, how many databases are there, sir? 3 databases. For every database, compulsory driver software must be required. Can you spell out what is the purpose of driver software? To convert Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls. Sir, now take very special care. Java application, is it database dependent or database independent, sir? Database independent, because for all three databases we are using only one application. But driver software is the database dependent or database independent? Database dependent. For Oracle, one type of driver. For MySQL, another driver. For Sybase, another driver. That's why in three databases, three drivers I maintain. Up to this is the clear, right? Okay. Sir, usually in our system, maybe a chance multiple drivers are there, sir. These drivers, if multiple drivers are there, who is the responsible to manage all these database drivers? There should be some component is required or not? Yes, that component is driver manager. Are you getting right? What is the component, son? That component is driver manager. Remember this one. So Java application can communicate with the driver manager. Driver manager can communicate with the driver software. This driver software can communicate with the database. Driver manager is responsible to manage all database drivers, right? Clear for all of it. So driver manager is the responsible to manage all database drivers. Suppose tomorrow I want to register a new driver. Who is going to take care? Driver manager only. Sir, I want to deregister, unregister, a new driver. Then an existing driver I want to unregister. Who is the responsible, sir? Driver manager is the responsible. So driver manager is the very important component in our JDBC architecture. Sir, driver manager is the responsible to manage all database drivers. Driver manager is the responsible, sir, to register a driver, to unregister a driver. Driver manager is the responsible to provide connection to the Java application with the help of driver software. Is it clear for all of you? Okay? Sir, now here take very special care, sir. Who provides driver manager? Driver manager present inside java.sql package. Remember this one, sir. Driver manager present inside java.sql package. Driver manager, okay, is a class, sir. It's a class present inside java.sql package. So who provides a driver manager to Java application? JDBC API provides. Everyone can able to understand, right? So Java application, JDBC API provides a driver manager. Driver manager can communicate with the driver software. Driver software can communicate with the my database, right? So this is the simple architecture what you people should be aware. Of course, I will redraw once again with a clear picture. Don't worry about that. But make sure you have to get basic idea, right? So in this JDBC architecture, there are two important components are there. One is driver manager. Second one is nothing but one driver software. Can you spell out what is a driver manager? What is the role? Driver manager is a class present inside java.sql package. Are you getting? Driver manager is the responsible to manage all database drivers. Okay, driver manager is the responsible to register a driver, to unregister a driver. Sir, driver manager is the responsible to provide connection to the database with the help of driver software. Sir, if a Java application wants to communicate with the database, Java application never talk directly with the driver software. It will talk with the driver manager. Driver manager can communicate internal driver. That driver can communicate with the database, right? With the help of driver software, driver manager can communicate with the database. Is it clear for all of you? So can you please talk about at least a few points about driver manager, sir? Driver manager is a class present inside java.sql package. Driver manager is the responsible to manage all database drivers. Next, driver manager is the responsible to register a new driver, to unregister an existing driver. Driver manager is the responsible to provide connection to the Java application with the help of driver software. Do you know, if you observe driver manager class contact, Driver manager class contain register driver method. What is the method, sir? Can you spell out? Register driver to register a new driver. Okay, a new driver, to register a new driver manager is there. Not driver manager class contain which methods are register driver. Similarly, I want to unregister a driver. If you want to unregister a driver, sir, do you know driver manager dot unregister driver of a particular driver you have to provide. Sir, tomorrow I want, sir, can you please provide connection to Oracle database? Do you know in our first example I covered already, driver manager dot get connection. Driver manager dot get connection method, which is going to provide connection to database, right? Is it clear? All these activities, who is the responsible doing, sir? Driver manager, that's all. So in our JDBC architecture, which component is the very important, sir? Driver manager is the very important, which is the responsible to manage all database drivers, register a driver, unregister a driver, provide connection to the database. All these activities will take care by driver manager. Sir, is it a class or not? Yes, it is a class present inside java.sql package. Clear, right? Next, driver manager internally communicated with the driver software. Sir, what the driver software will do? Driver software is the responsible to convert Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls. Remember this. So it acts as a translator. Without the driver software, we can't touch database. That much key important software, key important component in the JDBC architecture is, sir, driver software. Clear for all of it? So Java application, sir, JDBC API provides a driver manager. If a Java application required anything with respect to the database, it will ask a driver manager. Driver manager can communicate with the driver software. Driver software can communicate with the database. That's also, this is the brief discussion about JDBC architecture. Are you able to understand, right? If any person is asking, can you please tell what is the JDBC architecture? Driver, Java application, JDBC API, driver manager, driver software, and then we have to talk about databases. Clear, right? Okay, that's. Sir, up to this we covered what is JDBC architecture, what are various important components are there in our JDBC architecture. Sir, Java application, driver manager, driver software, and a database. Like I covered what is the roles of each component also. Let me summarize all the things so that you will get clear picture, right? Observe that. Sir, Java application wants to communicate with the database. Sir, Java application can communicate with the driver manager. Who provided driver manager to Java application? JDBC API, java.sql package provided driver manager to Java application, right? This driver manager is a class present inside java.sql package, which is the JDBC API. Next, driver manager is the responsible to manage all drivers, right? The name itself indicates, have you observed? Driver manager. It is the responsible to manage all drivers. Are you getting? Next, driver manager can communicate with the database with the help of driver software. It is the responsible to register, unregister drivers, like I covered already, right? Next, sir, driver software is a very important component, okay, which is the responsible to convert Java calls into database specific calls into Java calls. Regarding just this is the brief description about JDBC API, right? I mean JDBC architecture. Let me talk about this. Sir, JDBC API provides a driver manager to Java application. Next, Java application can communicate with any database. Java application can communicate with any database with the help of driver manager and a database specific driver software. So, if the Java application wants to communicate with any database, only two components are required. One is a driver manager, the second one is that particular database specific driver software. Okay, like next, what is the role of driver manager? I summarized all the points, right, so that you can get much clarity. it is the key component in JDBC architecture. Obviously, it's a very important component. It is a class present inside java.sql package. Driver manager is a Java class, right? Remember, it is the responsible to manage all database drivers. Next, it is responsible to register and unregister database drivers. So driver manager class contain static methods, right? Driver manager dot register driver of particular driver. Driver manager dot unregister driver. So if you want to register a new driver, if you want to unregister existing driver, who is the responsible to do that? Driver manager, right? Next, in our database communication, I want connection to communicate with the database, right? If you want connection, you require to ask a driver manager only. Have you observed? It is the responsible to establish connection to the database with the help of driver software. Okay? Con is equal to driver manager dot get connection. Get connection method you are calling. Which class get connection method, sir? Driver manager dot get connection. Of course, you have to provide username, password, JDBC URL, right? Now I got the connection object. Are you getting clearly, right? So what is a driver manager? It's a class present inside java.sql package. It is the responsible to manage all drivers. It is the responsible to register, unregister drivers. If you want connection to the database with the help of driver software, then you have to ask a driver manager dot get connection. That's all, sir. Sir, next, very important components are driver software. Do you know this driver software is the very important component in the JDBC architecture? Okay, have you observed, right? It's a very important component. Next, without the driver software, we can't touch database, right? Have you remembered? Just observe that. If you want to touch the database, compulsory this driver software must be required, sir. Next, it acts as a bridge between Java application and the database. This is my application. If you want to communicate with the database, compulsory here driver software must be required. Driver manager is the dummy person which is responsible to manage all drivers, but original work who is going to do is driver software only. Remember that, sir. It is the responsible to convert Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls. Clear, right? Okay, sir, that's all. This is about JDBC architecture, whatever we have. Just here only 2 points. One is a driver manager, second one is a driver software. Driver manager is the responsible to manage all activities related to these drivers. Driver is the responsible to convert Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls. Clear, right? Sir, in the interview room, if interview person is asking, sir, can you please explain JDBC architecture? Draw this diagram, explain, give left and right to the interview person. Clear for all of you, right? That's Sir, in our core Java sessions, we covered one important point. Java is platform dependent or platform independent? Platform independent. Similarly, in our JDBC, I'm using the word Java is database independent. Remember this one, sir. Java is platform independent. Java is database independent, right? Sir, how Java is the platform independent, how the Java is the database independent? There is a similarity is there. Who is going to take care database specific terminology? Who is going to take care platform specific terminology, right? Sir, I will explain internally. Maybe a chance in the interview room, there is a possibility to ask, can you please explain platform independent nature of Java? How Java is the platform independent? Can you please explain database independent nature of Java? How Java is the database independent? Like there is a possibility, right? Just for that, a small explanation I want to do. You have to present the same in the interview room. Have you observed, right? Okay, just observe. Let me talk about our JDBC first. Let me talk about JDBC. Here just observe, I have Java application is there, sir. What is this one? Java application. I write one Java application to communicate with the database with the JDBC API. Of course, in this application, I use connection, statement, result set like these are applicable for any database, right? I write the Java application. Sir, now I want to use this application to communicate with Oracle database. Are you getting? I want to use this application to communicate with Oracle database, right? Same way, I want to use this application to communicate with MySQL database. MySQL database. I want to use the same application to communicate with the DB2 database. Are you getting right? DB2 from IBM, sir. DB2 database. Now, take a bit very special care. How many Java applications are there? Only one application. But how many databases are there? 3 databases are there, right? So, is it required to write a separate Java application for every database? No. A single Java application can communicate with Oracle database, MySQL database, DB2 database. How this communication is going to be happen? A small point you people should aware, sir. Sir, if Java application wants to communicate with Oracle database, what sir, we require to use driver for Oracle. Are you getting? Driver for Oracle. Driver for Oracle. Oracle, right? So Java application can communicate with this driver. This driver can communicate with the database. Remember this one, sir. Observe that. So here, who is the responsible to convert Java terminology, Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls? Who is going to take care, sir? Driver software is the responsible, right? You are getting? If I use a driver for Oracle, this driver is going to convert Java calls into Oracle specific calls into Java calls. Clear, right? Okay. Same way, I want to communicate with MySQL database. To communicate with MySQL database, what I have to do, sir? Here, driver for MySQL. Are you getting? Driver for MySQL, right? Sir, Java application can communicate with this driver software. This driver software converts Java calls into MySQL database specific calls, MySQL database specific calls into Java specific calls. Who is going to take care, sir? This driver is going to take care. Remember this one. Are you getting? Same way, same application, I want to communicate with the DB2, sir. To communicate with the DB2, compulsory which thing must be required, sir? Driver for what we have to take? DB2. Driver for DB2 we have to take care. Sir, this driver can convert Java calls into database specific calls. Regarding can convert Java calls into database specific calls into Java calls. Remember this. Now, can you please tell how many databases are there? 3 databases. But how many Java applications are there? Only one application. Have you observed that? Only one application. For any number of databases, one Java application is enough. That's why Java is database independent. Okay, well. But who is going to take care to convert Java into specific database, specific terminology? The corresponding driver is going to take care. Is it clear for all of you? So now, can I use the word Java is database independent. Java is one database independent, but driver is what about driver, sir? A separate driver for Oracle database, a separate driver for MySQL database, a separate driver for DB2, right? Driver is database dependent. Driver is database dependent. Is it clear for all of it? So it's you people should aware, sir, how Java is database independent. Can you please explain who is going to take care about corresponding database conversion? These are drivers, sir. Because of this driver software, now Java will become database independent, right? Everyone can able to understand, right? Who is going to take care? Database related specific terminologies are these are driver software is going to take care. Everyone can able to understand. So maybe a chance in the interview room. Array, how Java is the database independent? Can you please explain? What about a driver software? Like, sir, you should be in a position to understand, right? Same terminology. Why don't you apply for platform independent nature of Java? Remember that. Sir, here I have Java application is there, sir. Just observe that Java application is there. This is the Java application I wrote, sir. Can I run this application on any platform? Yes, on Windows platform you can write. You can run on Linux platform, you can run, or otherwise Mac platform you can able to run. Once I write Java program, it can run anywhere, sir. Anywhere, sir. How it is going to be happen? Very simple, sir. Sir, I have here just assume Windows platform. Are you getting that? What is this platform, sir? Windows platform. Next, I have Linux platform. Linux platform. Next, I have Mac platform. Okay, Mac platform. Sir, now have you observed how many platforms are available? 3. But how many Java applications are available? Only one, right? The same application can run on Windows machine, Linux machine, or Mac machine. We are not required to write separate program for every machine separately, because Java is one platform independent nature. It is a platform independent language, right? Then immediately ask, sir, how it is going to run? How it is going to run? Very simple, sir. If you compile this Java program, .java file, then with the Java compiler, if I compile, now I will get the .class file, which is nothing but what? Bytecode, sir. Bytecode, which is nothing but what? .class file. Remember this one. Sir, this bytecode is the platform independent code. Java or bytecode is the platform independent, right? Sir, this bytecode can run on any platform. On any platform, how it is going to be possible, sir? Very simple. If you want to run this bytecode for the Windows, then we should go for JVM. JVM for Windows. Are you getting? JVM for Windows. Sir, Windows JVM will take this bytecode, and convert into Windows specific machine code and then execute. Are you getting? So, who is going to take care? Converting into mission platform specific code. Who is going to take care, sir? Yes, sir, this JVM is the responsible. JVM convert, sir, platform independent bytecode into Windows specific code. Windows platform can able to understand that. Happily it is going to execute, provide the required result. Are you getting? Same way, I want to run this Java application on the Linux platform. What we have to do, sir? We require JVM for. Can you spell out? We require JVM for Linux. We require JVM for Linux. Remember. Now, do you know? Here just observe that. Sir, this JVM for Linux convert this mission independent bytecode into Linux specific code. Now Linux machine can able to understand, can execute that. Are you getting right? So who is going to take care? Converting this mission code, mission independent bytecode into corresponding mission code. Who is the responsible for that? JVM is the responsible. Same way, I want to run on the Mac platform. Then compulsory we require. What is this one? JVM for Mac. Regarding JVM for Mac, it is required. Now here sir, this bytecode will be the input for this JVM. This JVM will provide corresponding MAC specific code. MAC machine can able to run this code. Everyone can able to understand, right? Now observe this one. Here, how many applications are available? Only one application. But how many platforms are available? 3 platforms are available. Now, my Java application, once I write, it can run on any platform. This nature is nothing but platform independent nature. Clear for all of it, okay? Sir, how this platform independent nature is coming? Just because of only one word. Because of this JVM, right? Remember this one? Because of this JVM. Okay, remember. Sir, now Java is platform dependent or platform independent? Platform independent, because 3 missions are there but only one program. That's why Java is platform independent. But JVM is platform dependent or not? Yes. For Windows, separate JVM. For Linux, another JVM. For Mac, another JVM is required. That's why, sir, for these missions, separate JVMs are required. I hope everyone can able to understand it. So that's why make sure, sir, here Java is, are you getting? Java is platform independent. Java is platform independent, but JVM is platform dependent. JVM is platform dependent, right? Is it clear for all of you, right? So, can you please explain how Java is the platform independent? Only one reason, JVM is the reason. Sir, internally converting Java code into corresponding platform code, who is going to take care, sir? This JVM is the responsible. Clear for all of you? Same way, how the Java is the database independent? Simple, sir, because of driver software. Maybe a chance to ask, can you please explain how Java is the database independent? How the Java is the platform independent? JVM, because of JVM, Java is the platform independent. Because of driver software, Java is database independent. Remember this one, very important question for the interview room, sir. Can you please explain Java is the database independent or not? Or Java is the platform independent or not? Can you explain how it is the platform independent? Internally, who is the reason for that? Here JVM is the reason for platform independent nature. Here driver software is the reason for database independent reason. Clear for all of you, right? So, hi friends, so in the last videos we covered about how Java is database independent, how Java is the platform independent, what is the architecture of JDBC architecture. Up to that we covered, right? But in this, now I will explain what is JDBC API. Are you getting? What is the JDBC API, sir? Sir, I want to develop a JDBC application. Then I require several classes and interfaces which can be used to develop JDBC based application. Correct, right? All these classes and interfaces is nothing but JDBC API, sir. Are you getting? JDBC API defines several classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. That's all, sir. So, what JDBC API? A group of classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. Next, this JDBC API, who is going to use? Can I spell out, sir? Who is going to use these interfaces or who is going to use these classes, right? There are 2 persons who are going to use. One person is programmer, sir. Programmer can use, okay, these classes and interfaces present inside JDBC API to communicate with the database. Next, there is another person is also there. Who is that other person? Is driver software vendor. Are you getting? Who is the other person, sir? Driver software vendor. Sir, this person is the responsible to develop driver software. Correct or not? Sir, how this vendor is going to develop driver software? Most of the times database vendor only. How we will develop driver software? By implementing interfaces present inside JDBC API. Are you getting that? Okay. So JDBC API defines several classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. A group of classes are something like driver manager, something like result set, next connection, statement. All these words are related to our JDBC application are available from where? JDBC API. So programmer can use this API to develop JDBC based application. Driver software vendor can use this JDBC API to develop driver software. Clear, right? Okay. Next, this JDBC API contains two packages, right? What is the first package? Is java.sql package. Regarding what is the first package, sir? Java.sql package. Can you please spell out what is the second one, sir? JavaX.sql package. Regarding java.sql package, javax.sql package, right? This java.sql package contain the basic classes and interfaces which can be used for database communications. Something like statement, something like connection, result set, driver manager. These things are available inside java.sql package. Java.sql package contain the most basic classes and interfaces which can be used for normal database communication, right? But javax.sql, can you spell out what is the meaning of X? Java Java extension. Remember, these ones are a bit advanced. Java extension. X means what? Extra. Yeah, extension, right? So javax.sql package contains more advanced classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication, right? Sir, something like connection pooling concept I want to implement. Sir, don't worry, I will explain in detail. Connection pooling separate concept is there. I want to implement connection pooling concept. Are you getting? I want to use row set instead of result set. I want to use row set. Then we should go forward javax.sql package. Are you in a position to understand, right? So JDBC API defines how many packages, right? Two packages. What is the first one? Java.sql, javax.sql package. Java.sql package contain basic classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. Javax.sql package defines several classes and interfaces, of course more advanced classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. Clear, right? Okay. Sir, it's a bit advanced. This is the basic JDBC, advanced JDBC, right? Like you can consider. Even in the javax.sql package, there are several sub packages are available, sir. Sir, if you want javax.sql.rowset. Are you getting? javax.sql.rowset. Rowset is one package, one sub package, right? Similarly, javax.sql.rowset.serial. Rowset.serial, serialization purpose, right? Rowset.serialization. Next, javax.sql.rowset.py. Are you getting, right? So rowset done, sir, here rowset done SPI is nothing but related to synchronization concept. Is it clear for all of you, right? Okay. Make sure, sir, these are various packages we have inside JDBC API. Clear for all of you? So what is the JDBC API? JDBC API define several classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. Point number one. Second one, sir, who is going to use JDBC API? Programmer. We are using to develop JDBC based application. Who is the other person can use this JDBC API, sir? Database vendor to develop driver software. Sir, I want to develop driver software for my own database. Sir, by implementing interfaces of JDBC API, we have to develop, okay, this driver software. Clear, right? Next, JDBC API contain how many packages, right? Two packages. What is the first one? What is the first one? Java.sql package. What is the second one? Javax.sql SQL package. What is the difference between java.sql, javax.sql, right? Java.sql package contain basic classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. Something like statement, result set, prepared statement, connection, all these things are available inside java.sql package. So more advanced classes and interfaces are available inside javax.sql package. Something like row set. I don't want to use this bloody result set because result set is not that much useful. Sir, I want scrollable. I want read updatable result set. Then happily we can go for one row set concept. Next, I don't want to create connection on my own. I want to use connection pooling to improve performance, right? Further data source is required. That data source is available inside javax.sql package. But anyway, as of now we are at very basic introduction. Just simply remember java.sql for normal basic JDBC programming, javax.sql for advanced JDBC programming. Clear for all of you, right? This is the brief information about JDBC API, right? Sir, just let me summarize. Have a look once about this. Sir, JDBC API. 1 minute. Here just observe. JDBC API provides several classes and interfaces. Clear, right? Next, programmer can use these classes and interfaces to communicate with the database. Sir, I want to communicate with the database. Sir, being a programmer, I want to use. Then which classes and interfaces are required? Where those classes and interfaces are available inside JDBC API. Clear, right? Next, who is the responsible? Another person who can use. Driver software vendor can use JDBC API while developing driver software. Clear, right? Next, JDBC API contain how many packages, right? 2 packages, right? What are the first ones, sir? Java.sql package. Second one, sir, javax.sql package. Sir, have you observed? Java.sql package, it contains basic classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication. Observe that. What is that? Basic classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication, right? But javax.sql package contains more advanced classes and interfaces, right? Observe, these are not basic, advanced classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication, right? Of course, sir, here in the java.sql package, what are various important interfaces, right? Driver, connection, statement, regarding statement, prepared statement, callable statement, result set, like this, right? Sir, very important question for the interview room. What is statement? How many statements are there in the JDBC? Observe that. Statement, prepared statement, callable statement, all these are interfaces present inside java.sql package, right? Sir, what are various classes? Driver manager is a class. Date is one class. Time is one class. Time stamp is one class. Types is also one class, right? To define JDBC types, so we can go for types class. This is the basic JDBC terminology, right? But what about javax.sql package? It contains several advanced classes and interfaces which can be used for database communication, right? So it contains multiple sub packages also. I hope you people, I covered already, right? javax.sql.rowset, javax.sql.rowset.serialization purpose, javax.sql.rowset.spi synchronization purpose, right? Remember, multiple sub packages also available. Inside javax.sql package, what are various interfaces are available? What is the first one? Data source. Remember this one, which can be used for connection pooling concept. Remember. Next, row set, alternative to result set. Row set concept, alternative to result set, right? Okay, more advanced result set is the row set, right? Next, row set listener, connection event listener. Sir, there are several interfaces are there. Similarly, row set event, connection event, these are important classes, right? Clear? Any doubt about this terminology, right? Okay, that's all. Sir, if any person is asking, can you please explain JDBC API? Simple, sir. JDBC API contains 2 packages. What is the first one? Java.sql package, javax.sql package. Java.sql package contains basic classes and interfaces for database communication. Java X.SQL package contain more advanced classes and interfaces for database communication. That's all simple. At very top level, you have to remember up to this. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, up to this, we covered about JDBC API. Sir, JDBC API contain how many packages, right? 2 packages. What the first one? Java.SQL, Java X.SQL package, right? Sir, I want to tell a small important good news for you. Sir, inside JDBC API, there are several interfaces are there. Driver is one interface. Connection, statement, prepared statement, result set, like there are multiple interfaces are there. Now, who is the responsible to provide implementation? Programmer is the responsible to provide implementation? No, sir. Remember this. It's a very happy news for us. We are not responsible to provide implementation. Who is the responsible to provide implementation? Okay? Driver, software vendor is the responsible to provide implementation, right? So, sir, most of the times, who is going to develop driver software? Database vendor only. That's why database vendor is the responsible to provide implementation classes for the JDBC API. This group of implementation classes is nothing but driver software. Remember this one, sir. Sir, JDBC API contain several interfaces, right? But all these interfaces, we are not responsible to provide implementation. Driver software vendor, database vendor is the responsible to provide implementation. This group of implementation classes is nothing but driver software. Sir, I'm repeatedly using one word, vendor. Have you ever, what is the vendor? Vendor means what? Sir, simple. Don't think too much. What is your vendor? Vendor means owner. Suppose, who is the vendor? Who developed that? That person is called vendor. Who is the vendor of Java? Who is the vendor of Java? Sun Microsystems. Are you getting that? Because Sun Microsystems developed Java language, right? That's why Sun Microsystems is the vendor of Java. But now it is with Oracle Corporation, right? Same way, who is the vendor of Oracle database? Oracle Corporation. Who is the vendor of DB2 database? Sir, IBM. Are you getting that? Vendor means who is the owner. Okay, who developed that? That organization is by default considered as what? Vendor. Remember this, because in our JDBC servlets, JSP, everywhere I will use third party vendor, okay, database vendor, servlet, okay, like Tomcat vendor, web server vendor, like. So, vendor means owner. Okay, clear. Now, JDBC API interfaces. So, database vendor is the responsible to provide implementation. That collection of implementation classes is by default considered as what? Driver software. Clear for all of you, right? Just have a look once, sir. I have one Java application is there, sir. I have one Java application is there. Sir, I want to communicate with the database. Right? If you want to communicate with the database compulsory driver software must be required. Correct or not? Compulsory driver software is required. Are you getting? Java application can communicate with the driver software. Driver software can convert Java calls into database specific calls into Java calls, right? Sir, what is this driver software? Again, what is this driver software? This driver software is nothing but collection of implementation classes of JDBC API. Remember this one. Inside JDBC API, several interfaces are there, right? So, a collection of implementation classes of those interfaces is nothing but driver software. Don't think too much. What is the driver software? Means a group of classes, right? Which classes? The classes which implement various interfaces of JDBC API. Who is the responsible to provide implementation classes? Driver software vendor. Most of the times, who is the person? Database vendor is the responsible, right? I will ask, sir, I will make a call to Oracle people. Sir, I want to communicate with the Oracle database. Can you please provide Oracle driver software? Then immediately Oracle people will provide OJDBC 6.jar or OJDBC 7.jar. Jar means what? A group of classes only, right? So that jar file itself is nothing but driver software. Remember this one. Who provided, sir? Database vendor. How they developed the driver software? By implementing various interfaces of JDBC API. Clear for all of it? So what are various interfaces present inside JDBC API? Who is the responsible to provide implementation? We are not responsible to provide. Who is the responsible to provide implementation, sir? Database vendor or driver software vendor. Sir, for example, I have Oracle driver software is there. Have you observed, right? Oracle driver software is there. Can you spell out what is the meaning of this one? Oracle driver software I have. What is the meaning is, Oracle driver software is a collection of classes, a collection of implementation classes of JDBC API, which can be used to communicate with Oracle database. Everyone can able to understand, right? So all the interfaces present inside JDBC API, driver software vendor is the responsible to provide implementation. That the implementation group is nothing but that implementation classes collection is nothing but driver software. Clear, right? Any explanation is required? I hope you people can able to understand. Simple, sir. We are not responsible to provide implementation of JDBC API. That is the good news to the programmer. Who is the responsible, sir? My database vendor is going to take care. That group of collection of implementation classes is nothing but driver software. Clear? If you are getting the basic idea, just let me summarize whatever I covered so that you people can get much clarity, right? Have a look once, sir. Same terminology. Here, have you observed, right? Programmers are not responsible to provide implementation classes of JDBC API interfaces. Sir, we are not responsible. Programmers are not responsible to provide implementation classes, right? Sir, most of the times, database vendor. Have you observed, right? Who is developing, who is the owner of database, that person is the responsible to provide implementation. Yeah, the part of driver software. Sir, now it's very clear, every driver software is collection of classes implementing various interfaces of JDBC API, which can be used to communicate with a particular database. Very simple. Java application is there, database is there. To communicate with the database, compulsory some concept is required. What is this concept, sir? Driver software. Okay? Driver software is implementation classes of JDBC API. Are you getting that? Okay? For example, driver software for Oracle means collection of implementation classes of JDBC API, which can be used to communicate with Oracle database. Everyone can able to understand? Sir, what is the driver software for Oracle? A group of implementation classes of JDBC API, which can be used to communicate with Oracle database. Clear for all of it? So, what is the driver software? Who is the responsible to provide implementation? Clear, right? Sir, up to this we covered what is a driver software. Driver software is a collection of implementation classes of JDBC API, a group of classes, right? So itself is the driver software. Sir, assume it is the driver software. It is the driver software which can be used to communicate with the database from Java application. Sir, this is Java application. It is the database. Assume that here a group of classes are there, which is nothing but driver software, sir. It is going to communicate with the driver software. Driver software can communicate with the database, you know. Sir, in there, is it a single class or multiple classes? There are multiple classes are available. One class, okay, implementation class of driver interface. Another class, implementation class of statement interface. Another class, implementation class of result set. Are you getting? Sir, another class, implementation class of prepared statement. Next, another class, implementation class of row set. Are you getting right? So, whatever interfaces are there, inside JDBC API, for all those interfaces, implementation classes are required. A group of implementation classes is nothing but driver software. Clear for all of you, right? Okay. Now I have among these classes, among these many classes, sir, there is one special class is there, sir. Okay. Every driver software is identified with that special class, which is nothing but driver class. Are you getting? Which is nothing but one driver class, right? Okay. Every driver software, sir, is identified with some special class, which is nothing but one driver class. Best example for you, sir. In India currently, sir, which government is ruling government? I can use the word BJP government. Regarding currently in the 2017, which government is the ruling government? BJP government, right? Sir, can I use the word? It is Narendra Modi's government. Acceptable, no problem, because in the BJP government, who is the main person? Who is the Prime Minister? Narendra Modi. That's why I can use the word. It is the Modi's government. Acceptable, right? Sir, in Telangana, which government is ruling government? Sir, TRS. TRS is the ruling government. Can I use the word? It is the KCR's government. Acceptable, no problem, because KCR is the main person in that government, right? Everyone can able to understand. Same way, of course, in the BJP, there are multiple ministers are there, but which minister is the Prime Minister? Narendra Modi. I can use the word Modi's government like this. In the driver software, there are multiple classes are there, sir. There are thousand classes are there, assume. Among all, there is one class, a special class will be there. That special class is nothing but one driver class. Everyone can able to understand, right? That's why I can use the word, every driver software can be identified with a special class. That special class is nothing but one driver class. Clear for all of you, right? Sir, if you want just a small example, I can able to tell, sir. Do you know, sir, we are going to discuss anyway in the next session, so don't worry. There is one driver is there, type 1 driver, sir. There is one driver software is there, type 1 driver software. These are type 1 driver software provided by Sun Microsystems. Regarding who provided type 1 driver software, sir? Sun Microsystem, yeah, the part of JDK only. Okay, whenever we install Java, automatically type 1 driver software is going to come. Inbuilt driver software, sir, inside Java, either type 1 driver software provided by Sun Microsystems, right? These are driver software, also known as JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, after completing our cinema, next topic is types of drivers only. There I will explain much, don't worry about, sir. So there is one driver software is there. What is the name of that driver software? Type 1 driver software provided by Sun Microsystems, yeah, the part of JDK, right? Now, in this driver software, compulsory there should be driver class must be there or not? Yes, what is the driver class? Okay, Sun dot, observe that, Sun dot JDBC dot ODBC dot Sun dot JDBC dot ODBC dot JDBC ODBC driver. Are you getting? So this is the driver class name present inside type 1 driver software. Okay, remember that, sir. Every driver software can identify with some special class. That special class is nothing but one type 1. I mean, that special class is called driver class. Okay, for the type 1 driver, what is the corresponding driver class name? Sun dot JDBC dot ODBC dot JDBC ODBC driver. Remember that. Of course, in the types of drivers, I will explain. Don't worry about that. Similarly, sir, do you know type 4 driver is there, sir, of Oracle. Type 4 driver of Oracle, which is also known as thin driver. Which is also known as what? Thin driver. Sir, don't worry. All these words are new to you because, sir, I didn't cover types of drivers, sir. So, no problem. Just a basic idea. Sir, thin driver software is there, sir, provided by Oracle Corporation to communicate with Oracle database. In this driver software, driver class name should be there or not? Yes. What is the corresponding driver class name? Is Oracle dot JDBC dot Oracle dot JDBC dot Oracle driver. Are you getting? Oracle dot JDBC dot Oracle driver is the driver software name. Are you getting that? Is the driver software name, driver class name present inside type 4 driver software or thin driver software, sir. Everyone can able to understand? So every driver software is a collection of classes, okay, which provides implementation of JDBC API. Sir, among these classes, so there is one special class is there. That special class is nothing but driver class. So every driver software identified with some special class. That special class is nothing but one driver class. Clear for all of you, right? Okay. Sir, for example, type 1 driver software corresponding driver class is sun.jdbc.odbc.jdbc driver. For type 4 driver class name is oracle.jdbc.oracle driver. Just observe the driver software is there, driver class is also there, right? Okay, this driver class is the implementation class of driver interface. Are you getting right? We have driver interface is there. For that implementation class is there. This implementation class is called what? Driver class. Similarly, sir, this is the implementation class of connection interface. Assume that this is the implementation class of statement interface. Are you getting? This is the implementation class of statement. This is the implementation class of result set interface. Are you getting? So this group of classes are nothing but what? Driver software. Is it clear for all of you? Okay, that's what you people should aware. What is the driver class? What is the driver software? Clear, right? Sir, just let me review whatever I covered, right? Have a look once. Just observe Java application. If a Java application wants to communicate with the database, driver software must be required. This driver software is a group of classes. This driver software is identified with some special class, which is nothing but driver class. Driver class is the implementation class of driver interface. Clear, right? Okay, just observe. Every driver software is identified with a special class, which is nothing but driver class. Next, it is the implementation class of java.sql.driver interface. Next, type 1 driver software provided by Sun Microsystems as the part of JDK, sir. So once we install JDK, automatically type 1 driver software is going to come. Okay, type 1 driver software corresponding driver class name is, can you spell out, sir? sun.jdbc.odbc.jdbc ODBC driver. Have you observed? sun.jdbc.odbc.jdbc ODBC driver. Do you know? This is the package name. sun.jdbc.odbc. Sir, this is the package name. And this one is the class name. Remember this one. This one is class name. What? JDBC ODBC driver. Similarly, thin driver provided by Oracle Corporation, and the corresponding driver class name is oracle.jdbc.oracle driver. Everyone can able to understand, right? Okay, this is what you people should aware clearly, right? Okay, what is the driver software, what is the driver class? Okay, that's all. Sir, have you observed? In our JDBC, I am always using driver interface, driver class, driver software. Like what is driver nonsense? Are you getting that? Okay. So for what is the difference between driver interface, driver class, driver software? Sir, which is the part of which one? Like I have to discuss. First, you require to get some clarity, sir. But this type of stupid question, no one is going to ask in the entire room. Don't worry about that. But just for our clarity purpose, we have to discuss in detail, right? Sir, what in JDBC we have 3 words we require to use frequently, sir. First one, driver interface. Second one, driver class. What is the third one, sir? Driver software. Okay, remember. Sir, what is the meaning of that? Here, I have Java application is there, sir. Are you getting? I have Java application is there. This Java application wants to communicate with database. Regarding Java application wants to communicate with database, right? So if Java application wants to communicate with the database, which thing must be required? Driver software must be required. Remember this one, sir. What is this one? Driver software must be required. Okay, I covered already. Sir, what is the driver software? Driver software is a group of implementation classes of, a group of implementation classes of interfaces present inside JDBC API. Sir, just observe, in JDBC API, there is one package is there, java.sql. In that package, there is one interface is there, driver. Are you getting? So first, let me talk about driver interface, right? Okay, driver is an interface present inside java.sql package. Are you getting in which package it is there, sir? Java.sql package. If you want to develop driver class, if you want to develop, then where the requirement specification is there, this driver interface contain requirement specification to develop driver class. That's why if you want to develop your driver class, compulsory we require to implement driver interface. Is it clear for all of it? Okay, sir, what is the driver interface? Driver interface present inside java.sql package, and it acts as requirement specification to develop driver class. So here just observe java.sql.driver. Sir, interface is there. Okay, this interface should be implemented by some Java class. Regarding that class is nothing but one driver class. So Oracle.jdbc.oracle driver. Regarding right, Oracle.jdbc.oracle driver. It is the implementation class of java.sql.driver interface, right? So such a type of implementation classes group is nothing but driver software. Remember this one, sir. So driver class present inside driver software. Like a driver class, there are multiple implementation classes are available, right? Implementation class of statement interface, implementation class of connection interface, implementation class of result set interface. All those things are available where, sir? Inside driver software. So Java application can communicate with driver software. Driver software can communicate with database, right? Everyone can able to understand. Okay, sir, first one, driver. Driver is an interface present inside java.sql package. This driver interface acts as requirement specification to develop driver class. Clear for all of you, right? Next, sir, what is the driver class? What is the driver class? Very simple, sir. It is the implementation class of java.sql package. Next, this implementation class, do you know it is the implementation class of java.sql package, right? It is the main important implementation class present inside driver software. Remember this one, sir. Next, last concept, what is driver software? Just now we covered multiple times, right? Driver software is a group of implementation classes of JDBC API. Regarding that, all implementation classes group itself is nothing but by default considered as driver software. Can you please tell what is the role of driver software, sir? To convert Java calls into database specific calls, database specific calls into Java calls. That's why driver software acts as bridge between Java application and the database, right? Clear for all of it? So don't think too much. What is driver interface, driver class, driver software? Just let me summarize whatever we covered, sir. But in general, in JDBC, I'm always using this type of terminology, sir. Okay, now have a look once. Sir, difference between driver interface, driver class, and then driver software. Sir, driver interface. This interface present inside java.sql package. It acts as a requirement specification to develop driver class. Remember, if you want to develop driver class, then where the requirement specification is there, driver interface, right? Driver interface acts as requirement specification to develop driver class. Clear for all of it? Okay, next one, sir, driver class. It is the implementation class of driver interface. Okay, it is the main class present inside driver software, sir. Sir, if you want example for the driver class, best example for type 1 driver software, the corresponding driver class name is sun.jdbc JDBC ODBC driver. Okay, if you want type 4 driver, okay, Oracle.jdbc.oracle driver. Clear, right? Okay, next, what is a driver software? Okay, it is the collection of implementation classes of various interfaces present in JDBC API. Sir, in the JDBC API, various interfaces are there. I want to implement a group of implementation classes of interfaces present inside JDBC API is nothing but what? Driver software. It is the responsible to convert Java calls into database specific calls and the database specific calls into Java calls. So Java to database, database to Java. If you want to convert, who is going to take care, sir? Driver software. Next, it acts as a bridge between Java application and the database. Remember this one, sir. So that's why make sure very common words are driver class is the implementation class of driver interface. Driver class present inside driver software. Clear? So it is the implementation class of driver interface. This driver class present inside driver software. Driver software contain multiple classes. In that one class is nothing but driver class. Clear, right? Sir, now it's very clear what is a driver interface, what is the driver class, and what is the driver software. Sir, now usually driver softwares are available in the form of jar files. Have you observed, right? What is a driver software, sir? Just we covered, okay, multiple times. A group of classes, a group of implementation classes of JDBC API. Sir, usually in our software environment, a group of classes we can represent by using jar file. Regarding jar file contains a group of .class files. Remember this one, sir, Java archive file. Okay, Java archive file contain a group of .class files. It is a compressed file which contain a group of .class files, right? That's why usually driver software is available in the form of jar file. Remember this. Sir, my requirement is I want to communicate with Oracle database. Then I will ask, hey, Oracle people, can you please provide, sir, your driver software? Then immediately Oracle people are going to provide OJDBC 6.jar. Regarding OJDBC 6.jar, if you want to communicate with Oracle 11G, regarding if you want to communicate with Oracle 11G, then we require to use which one, sir? OJDBC 6.jar. This is the driver software, right? Sir, I want to connect with Oracle 12C, sir. With Oracle 12C. Sir, I want to communicate with Oracle 12C. Can you please provide driver software? Then immediately OJDBC 7.jar. This is the driver software. Sir, I want to communicate with Oracle 10G, sir. If you want to communicate with Oracle 10G, then we should go for OJDBC 14.jar. Remember this one. Sir, all these things are driver softwares. So, usually driver software is available in the form of one jar file. Remember. Sir, I want to communicate with MySQL database. Hey, can you please provide driver for MySQL database? If I can ask MySQL people, then they will provide MySQL connector .jar file. Regarding MySQL connector.jar file, this is the driver software to communicate with MySQL database. Clear for all of you? So, in real time, all the driver softwares are available in the form of jar file. Remember this one, sir. OJDBC 6.jar or OJDBC 7.jar or MySQL connector.jar file. Clear for all of you, right? Okay, that's all. Next, here one point is there, sir. Very, very important point. Who is the responsible to provide these driver softwares, right? Sir, who is the responsible to provide these driver softwares? Very common, sir. There are multiple people are responsible to provide these driver softwares. Sir, in Java environment or in database, Usually, three types of people will provide, three vendors can provide my driver softwares. One person is Java vendor, a bit rare. Okay, Java vendor will provide driver software. That driver software is okay type 1 driver software. Regarding that, which ones are type 1 driver software, but almost deprecated, sir. Java 1.8 version onwards, this driver software is not available. Remember, this driver software is available until Java 1.7 only. So type 1 driver software is going to come at the part of Java, inbuilt part of JDK, right? But this facility is available until 1.7 version only. Remember, so Java vendor may provide driver software, but this was the history once upon a time, but not now. Sir, second one, database vendor. Regarding database vendor can provide driver softwares. Just how I told, ODBC 6.jar, ODBC 7.jar, next MySQL connector.jar. These jar files provided by database vendor only. Remember this one, sir. Best example, thin driver is the type 4 driver, sir, which is provided by Oracle people. Remember this one, thin driver is the software provided by Oracle people. So ODBC 6.jar is nothing but thin driver. Like next, sometimes a bit rare. Okay, third party vendors also will provide driver softwares, right? Then immediately you may ask, sir, what is the third party vendor? I will discuss. But as of now, just observe. Driver software usually available in the form of jar files. Next, who is the responsible to provide driver softwares, right? Three types of vendors: Java vendor, database vendor, third party vendor. Can you give an example for the driver software provided by Java vendor? Type 1 driver. Can you give an example provided by database vendor? Thin driver. Can you give an example provided by third party vendor? Yes, remember that. Sir, iNet. What is that, sir? Can you spell out? iNet is a software company. Okay, sir, third party software company providing several driver softwares for various databases, right? Remember this one. Sir, best example, iNet Oraxo. Regarding what is this one, sir? iNet Oraxo for Oracle database. Sir, if you want to communicate with Oracle database from Java application, I will ask iNet software company, then they will provide iNet Oraxo driver software, okay, for Oracle database. Next, iNet Merlia. Regarding that, what is this one, sir? iNet Merlia for Microsoft SQL Server. If you want to communicate with Microsoft SQL Server database, then iNet Merlia. This is the driver software provided by iNet software company, sir. Next, iNet Cyblux. Are you getting that? iNet Cyblux, Lux Papa, something like iNet Cyblux provided by iNet for can you please guess, right? Cyblux for which database? Cyblux for which database? Sybase. Are you getting for which database, right? Sybase. Remember, that's why. So what is a driver software? A group of collection of classes, implementation classes of JDBC API. Next, a driver software is available in the form of jar file. Driver software provided by multiple vendors. Java vendor, next a database vendor, and the third party vendor. Java vendor is the, can you give an example for Java vendor provided driver software? Type 1 driver software. Next, a database vendor provided driver software, thin driver. Regarding third party vendor provided driver software, iNet Oraxo, iNet Merlia, iNet Cyblux. These are various driver softwares to communicate with various databases. Clear for all of you, right? Just let me provide, sir, let me review once again. Have a look once, sir. Sir, usually driver softwares are available in the form of jar file. ODBC 6.jar, ODBC 7.jar, 14.jar, MySQL connector.jar. These are various driver softwares, a group of collection of classes, right? Next, driver software can be provided by the following vendors: Java vendor, database vendor, third party vendor. Sir, example, type 1 driver, which is also known as JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Sir, after this, next topic is types of drivers only. There I will explain much. JDBC ODBC bridge driver, also known as type 1 driver, provided by Java vendor. Next, a thin driver provided by Oracle database vendor. Remember. Next, INET is a third party vendor providing driver softwares for various databases. Can you observe that? INET Oraxo for Oracle database, INET Merlia for Microsoft SQL Server, INET Cyblux for Sybase database, right? Everyone can able to understand. So, how many who are providing driver softwares, right? Sir, multiple people, Java vendor, database vendor, and third party vendor. But anyway, among all, which vendor provided driver softwares are recommended to use? Remember that highly recommended to use database vendor provided driver softwares. More compatibility with the database will be there, sir. That's why. So if database vendor unable to provide, then only we require to think about, sir, third party vendor. Highly recommended to use database vendor provided driver softwares. Clear for all of it? Note I specified. It is highly recommended to use database vendor provided driver softwares. Clear for all of it? Okay, that's all, sir. Sir, just we covered about what is driver software. Who is the responsible to develop driver software? Sometimes Java vendor, database vendor, third party vendors, right? Sir, but most of the times recommended to use one database vendor provided driver software. Next, while developing driver softwares, vendors may use only Java. The total driver software can be developed only by using Java. Sometimes Java with other languages also. Are you getting? Sir, I want to develop a driver software. Okay? I want to develop a driver software. To develop driver software, I can use only Java or Java plus other languages also, like C or C++, right? Okay? If I use only Java, total driver software developed only Java, such type of drivers are called pure Java drivers. Remember this one, sir. Pure Java drivers. So this driver, complete driver software developed only by using Java. Such type of driver softwares are called what? Pure Java drivers, right? Okay. Sometimes I can use Java with some other languages like C or C++. Such type of driver softwares are called partial. Are you getting? Partial Java drivers. Remember this one. So pure Java drivers are there, partial Java drivers are there. Okay, in the next somewhere, while talking types of drivers, these words we are going to use repeatedly, sir. If I use anywhere pure Java driver, full Java driver, what is the meaning of that, sir? The total driver software is developed by using only Java language. Sir, if I use partial Java driver, Java with other languages are used to develop driver software. Clear for all of it? Okay, just have a look once, sir. So while developing driver software, vendors may use only Java or Java with other languages like C or C++, right? Sir, if driver software is developed only in Java language, then such type of drivers are called pure Java drivers. Are you getting that? So if the driver software developed only in Java, completely in Java, such type of driver softwares are called pure Java drivers. Next, if a driver software is developed with Java and other languages, then such type of driver softwares are called partial Java drivers. Are you getting that? So total, how many types of drivers are there? It may be pure Java driver or it may be partial Java driver, right? Okay, that's all. This is what you people should aware, right? Are you in a position to understand, right? What is JDBC API? In that, how many packages are available? Next, what is a driver software? Next, who is the responsible to provide implementation for the driver software? What is the difference between driver interface, a driver class, and a driver software? Next, what is about pure Java driver? What is the partial Java driver? Clear for all of you, right? This is what JDBC API. Okay.